We got Resolution 1129 by Councilman O'Connell. He's out of the room, so we'll come back to it. Resolution 1130 by myself classifies public roads in Davidson County. And this is just a formality that we have to do yearly, I think. Is that right? So I would move approval. Second. All those in favor? Aye. We recommend approval. Ordinance 1131 by Council Lady Murphy and others approves the intergovernmental agreement by and between TDOT and Metro Public Works for the acceptance of lighting improvements in connection with the construction on I-40 from I-40 East to I-440 South. We have a letter asking for approval, so I would move approval.
Second.
Will this help get 440 redone faster with better lighting?
No, you can see the potholes.
Yeah, you can see the potholes better. There you go. Yeah.
Watch the potholes better.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. We recommend approval. Resolution 1132 by Council Lady Virtue and myself accepts a grant from TDEC to Public Works to implement the 2015 to 2025 Solid Waste and Materials Management Plan to increase public awareness of solid waste management. And I'm a sponsor, so I would move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question about increasing public awareness of solid waste management. What is that?
Yeah, so.
I'm very aware in my house.
Excellent, yeah. So it's the wording that the state uses for their grant applications that relate to education and outreach. So in their 2025 material management plan, they have these sort of goal areas that they focus on, and so this is kind of the state language of what they're funding programs that will help to make people more aware of waste reduction, but they kind of word it funky. So
so it's a reduction awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not of solid waste.
Yeah. It sounds like it's like identifying this is trash.
Coolers down the plant.
This is solid waste.
How much is the grant for?
50,000.
Equal much.
Yes. Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We recommend approval. Ordinance 1133 by Councilman Pulley and others, authorizing Montgomery G. Turner Sr. to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 3790 Bedford Avenue.
So moved.
We have a letter asking for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We recommend approval. All right, Resolution 1134 by Council Lady Blaylock requests Metro Water and Public Works to conduct a study regarding the increased use of recycled concrete in projects. Council Lady Blaylock.
So we watched the Lifeway building implode, and I kind of wondered what happened with that concrete. So a lot of it goes to just to the landfill, and then Vulcan has a company that actually comes in there and chops it up and uses it for recycling. You can't use it under roads. TDOC, specs is not. It's not good enough for that, but for a lot of other things like, houses if it's 2 stories and under, and obviously for bedding of our pipes and sidewalks. So that's kind of the avenue that I wanted us to take, try to save some money. It's like half the cost, same product.
I have a question, Chairman, for the Public Works. I think we are doing the solid waste master plan right now. So I think, concrete recycle is a great idea. I totally agree. But are you already doing it as concrete recycling as a part of solid waste master plan, or this ordinance will give you extra work? Or how does it work if we adopted this resolution?
So what the plan is doing is it's looking at different ways to recycle material, and construction and demolition waste is a major portion of what we are throwing out. So options like this are consistent, I guess, and I don't want to speak out of turn for Sharon and Courtney, but I think if the recyclers are willing to provide a certain amount at no cost to Public Works and Water Services, I'm sure we could use it in a test area.
Yeah, it would have to be processed to a certain degree for us to be able to use it. So,
and then we could do a test.
And Vulcan can do that. So this is for a study. So we'll study it and put it under some sidewalk projects and some different things to see how it works.
I guess our only thing would be, since I'm assuming there's no budget allocation, we would really want to see if they could just donate some product to us that we could test.
Well, this is not to do testing. It's really just to use it and see how it works. So when you're currently buying virgin, instead of buying virgin, buy recycled for a few times to see how it works. So you're not really buying, you're not gonna buy extra.
Yeah, as
to
long
do
as it's
anything.
already processed and
Right,
you
okay.
can
And
purchase
they
it
do,
and
Vulcan does
go
it,
across
American
scales.
Farms does it. Yeah, so. You go get, I don't really think you could test it in case you actually use it, right?
Right.
Well, are they already doing it, and so this is a product that they're?
No, we're purchasing virgin.
Oh, they're not doing it at all? Okay.
And it's cheaper, so, and it's this, it works the same for those type items. So,
You can use asphalt the same kind of way. You can even recycle that
Yes.
and put it back in more asphalt, or to use it as fill and that kind of thing as well.
Do y'all as the department have any concerns about it, or, I mean,
There are some concerns, just like they said, the TDOT won't allow it to be used on the roadways. So we'll put it under some sidewalks and monitor them and see how they hold up and take a look at everything. That's why we kind of asked for a study for a year's time.
and Council Eagle, like, I apologize, I've read the analysis on this last week, or rather read about this earlier. How is it worded such that, I mean, are you asking them to try it? What is the actual language?
try it, just to try it.
Try it.
And then report back to us.
Okay.
So timeline is 1 year, correct?
Yeah, okay.
Would that be sufficient time to try it and bring us?
Hopefully, and I don't want to speak for the water department because they're going to have to look at the same thing.
We'll basically have to follow the lead with Public Works and kind of get some guidance from that.
Do they have a list of applications where they know it works well that might help water out?
You know, I did speak with, I went to meet with, you've got a letter on your desk,
Yeah.
the Concrete Association, and I asked him if he could provide me, there's all kinds of cities using this already, and so he just was on vacation and couldn't get it to me in time, so, but yeah, they're already using this.
Yeah, and he can contact me and I'll set up a meeting with the folks at Public Works. I'm happy to do that. And we could all meet, that might be good.
So at this point, Council Lee, I mean, what we're hearing is that all that concrete just gets landfilled, is that right? So all you're doing is saying, wait a minute, before we just throw it all in a landfill, maybe there's something better to use it for. And so this is just a request to study it, try it, and see maybe this is something good.
A lot of your home builders are using it, you know, so there is, you know, like American Farms, I think they're almost 100% recycle what they're doing over there. And Vulcan's got a whole area that's just for recycling. So, you know, there is a market out there, and it is a lot cheaper.
I'd much rather find some suitable use for it than just stick it in a landfill.
Exactly.
So I'm fine.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We recommend approval. All right, ordinance 1126 by Councilman Sledge and others approves the agreement between CSX Transportation and Public Works for payment to CSXT for costs incurred due to the existing bridge removal and construction of the new bridge at the Foster Avenue and CSX Transportation Railroad crossing. We don't have a letter, but I'm a sponsor, so I would move approval.
Second.
So are we out money on this? We're paying them?
Yes, we have to pay for them to do the flagging and to monitor the trains and things like that while we work on the bridge. So,
Then how much is it, just out of curiosity?
I think it's about $361,000. 341.
$341,000 to flag and monitor something?
With their interest, yes.
So could you just talk us through then?
After all, it is CSX.
That would be good.
Could you just, I guess, just from a time frame, what's the anticipated time frame for this bridge removal and replacement? I would assume maybe $340,000 reflects the fact that it's going to take 9 months or something.
They're going to take a while. I don't know exactly how long. I can go back and check the schedule.
Can you just speak to, I was not familiar with this location. Can you just kind of speak to the size of this project? Or
I have, this project is actually underway, and they're building a new bridge, and this portion of it crosses the railroad, but the actual budget for the entire project is a little over $5 million. Bell & Associates has the contract. And so, and I have to speak to this based on my limited knowledge, because I'm not the project manager on this. This is under the bridge maintenance manager, but That's as much as what I know. It's currently underway now.
Okay, so this is a $5 million metro capital improvement.
That was
Solely for the bridge replacement, the $5 million cost, or is there a larger street project?
I think it's solely for the bridge replacement.
And that was
But I can go back and
based
check.
on
It's
just-
based on the quality and the safety of the bridge.
Okay, okay. And then can I just ask from a budgetary perspective, I know we grade all our pavement and everything, and that has a grading level. Bridge infrastructure,
It's also graded.
is that a report you can get to us?
Yes, it is.
It's just as far as from a timeline perspective, because I think we're all keenly aware of, internal to our own district, right? What we're thinking might need to be done.
Okay.
But that kind of bridge safety piece, I know the whole community is keenly aware of and cares about. So I'd be interested to know what
Okay.
the challenges are there, or what's on the horizon, I guess.
Councilman Schulman?
So where are we with, in terms of the construction on this bridge? Have we started something? Are we?
It is underway. I don't know how.
I think it's in the design phase. They're still going through that. I don't know that they have actually broken ground yet. I'd have to go check.
And do we know, when we do something like this, particularly when it involves the CSX, do we know going in that we're going to have to pay for some of this stuff? And why? And is that just a responsibility that's just understood that we're going to have to contract with these folks and do this?
Yes, because of CSX, because of the procedures and the policies that they lay out. Anytime you're crossing their railroad or you're running close to their lines or anything like that, they have set things and set charges that they give to you, and they will only allow their people or people that contract with them to do those jobs. They will not allow you to go out and contract with anyone else.
So presumably there's some federal safety standards.
And just the authority of the railroad that's been there for 100 and something years, that they can just do with it as they please.
Sharon, could I ask then, in the report that you're giving to us on kind of bridge quality, or where, could you include, or is that already in the data, of which ones are CSX and thus will trigger these sort of issues?
I'll take a look at it. I think we can break that out.
I know in my district, we had to engage a railroad issue. We're trying to do a tunnel for the Birch Reserve and Warner Parks, and just to cross the track to get to the other side to use the tunnel. It seems anytime we engage with them, there's quite a lot of implications, both from a time perspective and financially. So I think that would just be good to understand that. Thank you.
Okay.
And one last question. Goes along with what you're talking about. Is this broken out in any way? Do we know what the $341,000 is spent for?
I'll go back and check with the project manager and try to get that information.
I think that'd be helpful to know.
And this is on second reading?
It should be attached to the agreement should be attached.
Maybe attached to the bill, but I don't have that.
I don't know if there's a breakdown there, but that.
What's the time frame involved in this? I mean, maybe we have no choice, we have to do it this way, but that seems like an awful lot of money to spend for somebody to do some, depends on what they're doing. I'd like to know what they're actually going to be doing. And it may be, again, that's just what we have to pay, but it's a pretty good.
You mind just getting that to us before third reading?
Okay.
Yeah, just send it to the committee.
Okay.
Is there any reason to re-refer it back here just to look at it, or just check it?
What do you think?
I'm comfortable if you send it to the full committee, because we could always defer it off a third if we had some concerns.
I will do that.
All right. So we've got a motion to approve in a second. And Sharon will get us information back. All those in favor?
Aye.
We recommend approval. All right, I'm going to take up several here at once. I'm going to take as a consent ordinances 1127, 1128, 29, 30, 32, so not 31, so 32, 33, 34, 35. We'll take all of those up at once unless anybody has any objection, because they're just drainage easements, sidewalk easements, those kinds of things, sanitary, sewer manholes. That way we can condense it a little bit. All right, so I'll
Move approval.
second it, and I'll go ahead and read the captions on all of them. Ordinance 1127 by Councilor Mita Johnson, authorizes acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of the Metro Public Works Project Davidson Road Phase 2 sidewalk improvements. Ordinance 1128 by Council Lady Bircher authorizes the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of Public Works Project Forest Road sidewalk improvements. Ordinance 1129 by Councilman Syracuse authorizes the acquisition and subsequent conveyance of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for use in public works projects of Public Works for the Lebanon Pike sidewalk improvements. Ordinance 1130 by Councilman Davis and others authorizes Metro to negotiate and accept permanent and temporary easements for the Chester Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project for 14 properties located on Chester Avenue and Chapel Avenue. Ordinance 1132 by Councilman Bednay and myself abandons existing sewer main and easements and to accept a new sanitary sewer manhole and any associated easements for properties located at 3801B and 3803 Abbott Martin Road. Ordinance 1133 by Councilman Bednay and myself authorizes Metro to negotiate and accept permanent and temporary easements for the Sherrill Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project for 6 properties located on Sherrill Avenue, Blackstone Avenue, and Lanier Avenue. Ordinance 1134 by Councilman O'Connell and others authorizes Metro to negotiate and accept permanent and temporary easements for the 2nd Avenue North Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 1401 and 1403 2nd Avenue North. Ordinance 1135 by Councilman O'Connell abandons existing water pipe easement rights located between 150 2nd Avenue South and 150 1st Avenue South, formerly known as alley number 12. All right, unless there's objection, we'll vote on all of those at once. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that takes care of a bunch of those. All right, now we're on Ordinance 1131 by Councilman Davis approves and authorizes the Director of Public Property Administration or his designee to accept a donation of real property located at 0 Harvard Avenue. We have a letter asking for approval. So I would move approval. Second. And just out of curiosity, I left it out just because I was curious of what the donation of the real property was for.
Which, I'm sorry, I was looking at some paperwork.
Sorry, Ordinance 1134 is for Harvard Avenue. And Councilman 1131, excuse me.
Okay.
The donation of real. I'll flip. Okay.
Okay, that's
Gotcha.
That's them.
Sorry.
I understand that.
All right, and we got a motion for approval in a second. All those in favor? Aye. We recommend approval. All right, Ordinance 1137 by Councilman Pulley and others authorizes the abandonment and closure of a portion of the existing Crestmore Road at the intersection of Hillsborough Pike and Crestmore Road after the completion of a realignment project at that intersection. Councilman Pulley,
How is he not here?
He was in the hall.
we have a letter asking for approval. I know, that's why I left it off.
This is like one of those momentous Nashville occasions.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
But I'll move approval.
Yeah. I second. We should all sign on as co-sponsors.
Right.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we recommend approval. Ordinance 1138 by Councilman Kendall and others abandoning portions of alley number 1189 and alley 1205 right-of-way. We have a letter asking for approval. And just out of curiosity as well on this one, what is it we're abandoning them for? We're not using them?
Yeah, it's the Hadley one. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Kendall, so Hadley,
Yeah. It's not, between 1st and 6th Street is where the abandonment is. So I just don't think we're using that.
okay.
Quick question, when we abandon alleyways, I mean, is that usually largely when we have a larger redevelopment? I mean, alleys are actually great, you know. We wish out in suburban sprawl areas that we had those, but when, I mean, do we abandon existing, I mean, it's for purpose of a development, right? It's not
Right,
just.
most of the time.
You wouldn't just abandon an alley for,
Right.
okay, it's part of a development
That would make
project.
sense, it did.
All right, abandoning that poor alley. Let's affirm our alleys.
Yeah.
So it is for purposes of a development. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we recommend approval. Now we'll go back to the beginning. Resolution 1129 by Councilman O'Connell, approve the property at 922, 928, and 930 Lebanon Pike to be used for a waste transfer facility. Councilman O'Connell.
Sure. So this one kind of came in that strange spot where we weren't sure if we needed resolutions any longer for waste transfer in particular after passage of the Jackson Law and some cleanup that maybe cleaned up a little too much of the Metro Code. I know Tom White is here representing the folks requesting this. Tom, I don't know if you cared to speak to anything about the nature of the...
I just mentioned, Councilman, that for the longest time we sat in the queue realizing the ambiguities about the Jackson Law. And I always took the position that whether it was mandated or not, the resolution was the right way to go. So we waited until that got finalized and then asked you to move forward with the resolution. The Board of Zoning Appeals approves these as a special exception. We've got to meet all their conditions from traffic study to any number of other things. But the operators have got a long experience and they've sent their resume and background information to you. They've done it for a number of years, and I think the market clearly warrants it, and it's a significant site improvement over what's there right now.
So, and I don't know, Councilman Syracuse, I know you sort of got a briefing on this. Did you have any concerns that you care to speak to in committee?
Any concerns? Right now, it's a pull-apart place where a bunch of junk cars are. So, as I understand, the traffic will actually be less going in and out of there now than it is just average folks just going in there and trying to find a piece out of their damaged car.
About a fourth of what it is right now. Yeah. Obviously, a huge cosmetic improvement.
Sure. So that's a plus. Cosmetic improvement. Nobody loves waste transfer stations, but I think the benefits slightly outweigh the negatives on this one.
Yeah, and I will say Tom has offered to include some conditions into the ZA process that let us ensure that we kind of protect that the Browns Creek area through looking at the stormwater landscaping and green source reductions process. So I think that's also a bonus here. The only thing I'll say about this is I know Lebanon Pike has been one of those alternatives to interstates for access here, but I think to Tom speaking to the reduction in overall traffic here, I'm not terribly concerned about that. So at this point, I would move approval.
I'll second it.
Just a quick question on process with everybody here. So post Jackson Law, having a resolution is good practice for every transfer station?
We used to require it.
Right.
When the Jackson Law passed, there were some other pieces of the code that actually unintentionally stripped out that requirement to have this resolution. So that has been repaired, I think, by us if you work with it.
Not yet.
Tonight, maybe?
Well, tonight's
second reading on tonight, so there is a bill passing through right now, but I think Tom, in his diligence, is doing this even though theoretically tonight it
hasn't passed yet.
Right.
All right. So, but this would be fulfilling the anticipated requirement.
And what those were prior to this. So it's kind of, this is a good faith resolution to abide by what we have previously required and what we will require by the first or second meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So what's around here? I know that it sounds like there's, anybody who wants to add.
I can speak to that if you like. Right across the street, if you remember, was the Airways Motel, where it was the 3-hour no-tell motel. And my intent with that was to clean it up with economic development improvements. So it's mostly industrial. I've actually begun. Freddie's in my district, just up the street from this, touch at Spence Lane, and I'm actually doing a whole community through planning, community plan amendment to look at that area because we know that development is coming down the pike towards Donaldson. So this area, I'm driving it at least twice a day. So this area, I can see eventually turn, but I don't think this new use of this property is going to adversely impact the long-term future of this area of the pike.
Okay, so the second question, I'm not sure if this is required for all these processes, but besides the Board of Zoning Appeals, has there been meetings on this just to make sure, I don't know who might be around this area? I know that a lot of people use that road.
Sure, yeah, I do.
But anybody who might be impacted in some way, have there been discussions so people either know it's coming or they, should we have a meeting on this?
It does not touch it's not anywhere near any sort of residential area.
Right, but obviously there are people that own property around it and may be impacted by it.
I understand that property owners around it are aware.
We have discussed it with the adjacent property owners that we've contacted also at the BZA, since it's a conditional use special exception. There's a requirement for notice to property owners. And again, we've held off on that, making sure we did the resolution first. I met with Councilman Pridemore, realizing that his ordinance was coming through just for belts and suspenders, and figured we would do this no matter what. But we've contacted the immediate neighbors, have heard no opposition. And again, we'll give the notice out before we hear the BZA, which will be another 6 weeks or so from now.
Sure. Tom, can you share what the lease, length of leases for this new use?
Well, my clients own the property.
Right.
So as far as, I'm not confident or even aware if there is a lease, if they're leasing to themselves, but they bought the property from Abernathy, which was the eyesore, the truck salvage place up there.
Right.
And the pickup part was there at the time.
Right.
And so their plan as the owners of the property is to remove all the unsightly things, put in the elevations that are subject to the BZA approval, subject to the normal conditions, plus we've met with Councilman O'Connell to agree that they would go above and beyond on landscaping and other matters, since there's a closeness to Browns Creek and other matters, all of which will make additional conditions that we'd commit to at the front of the Board of Zoning Appeals. But that's, I don't know of any lease, Councilman Syracuse. I think they're going to own it and operate it.
Okay.
So I don't, if there's a lease, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
If so, it'd be a lease to themselves.
What about sidewalk? Do you do the sidewalk?
Just say yes.
Yes. Sidewalks, yes. 179 is a foot, yes.
178, Tom.
178. Safety, toddlers.
Yeah, if I may. My question is really more about process, and Jameson is in here. One of the whereases said that the council must make a finding that the proposed use is consistent with the general and specific requirements of Chapter 17.16 of the Metro Code. And I know that from just dealing with the one in Madison, that's like 5 or 6 specific things, and this resolution doesn't actually make any findings. And to the extent that this seems like a decent place for a waste transfer station, if somebody complains later, I'd hate to have a hole in the process where we literally state that you have to make a finding and then we make no findings. And so I was going to ask Jameson about that.
Councilman, I talked to Mike about that, and he was aware that we were moving forward tonight, thought that was appropriate. He's left the meeting, but I did specifically talk to him about that. And when come from the BZA, you've got to meet the general and specific conditions, as you well remember down there on the Maya Drive one that was so opposed. So we're aware of what those conditions are. We've met with the staff. We're confident we meet all of those. But as far as the approval today, if the resolution, even if need be amended to say we must meet those specific conditions, we don't have any problem with that. But again, I specifically talked to Mike about that. He was aware and was okay with moving forward. But I don't have any problem if it's amended to include that.
Councilman Mendez, I guess my question might be, what procedurally do we do to make such a finding?
Well, I think, this hasn't been done a whole lot post-Jackson law, so I am really posing the question, but to the extent that whereas is right, that we must make a finding, the ordinance, the resolution says we hereby determine that it meets all applicable zoning code. So I guess that's the finding, but my only question would be if a court later on would say, well, they didn't actually consider any of them.
A bit of a
But I've asked the question, if the counsel for the landowner is going to be okay with it, then so be it.
Well, quick question, should the BZA go first? In a sense that that's a bit of a public hearing. This is the same way that planning goes first and then sends it here for the approval, and then BZA would have found it to be in compliance with all of these things.
Well, again, I'm trying to be a question asker because I didn't look at it myself. My sense was we were just approving the location, and so it's the whereas that surprises me a little bit.
Again, you'll have to ask Mike when I discussed it with him as far as making sure we were able to move forward tonight. He was good, and he thought basically some of the language, the global language that you just read, basically confirms that it was satisfactory. But again, the way it now reads and always was is you had to come to the council first for the resolution, and then you went to the BZA. That's historically always the way it's been.
Tom, I know we've also got this kind of the reparative legislation moving at the same time. From a timing standpoint for your client, if we deferred one meeting to get that clarity, or if there was a move to defer on the floor, is that a devastating scenario?
Well, if I may, I'm sorry. If the landowner's the one bearing the risk here, so if the landowner's lawyer's okay with it,
fair enough.
Fine with me.
So,
Councilman Mendez, I am okay with it just because of the discussions that I've had and the fact that one of the reasons I'd like to move forward is we've sat in the queue for several months trying to make sure the Jackson Law issue got decided, and I always continue to say, just give us the resolution. We don't care whether it's mandated or not. That's the appropriate thing to do. It's the way it's always been done, and I think the Jackson Law, when enacted, just, was not microscopic enough. This one got skated over. I understand it's our risk. I've talked with Mike about it. I'm comfortable with it. And I also feel like just because we've sat in the queue and tried to do the right thing. I've talked to Councilman Pridemore about this as he came through with his ordinance and kept him posted about why we were waiting in the queue. But at this point, I don't think there's any reason for us to wait, and I respectfully ask that it be approved.
So the only thing I can think of is if, I think Bob's right about, or Councilman Mendez is right about you bearing the only thing I can think of is us as a council is if not you, but the next one could say, hey, the one before us didn't have to go through whatever rigorous process. But I think that it can be a case-by-case basis. One, waste transfer facility, we can, it's a whereas clause, where the next one could be, 3 meetings in front of Public Works, and they have to bring all kind of documentation and stuff. So I may say something on the floor to that effect. But I'm just saying it for clarity, just to let you know. Councilor Johnson and Councilor Schulman.
the question as far as, on the waste facility in the old BZA prior to Jackson Law, property owner, whomever go to BZA and submit application. And then as a council, we have to approve the location within 60 days of the application or deemed to approved. So I just want a procedurally where we are on the BZA process.
On the BZA process, again, I didn't want to schedule it and told Councilman O'Connell and Councilman Pryor I was not going to schedule it until we had the resolution issue resolved. But we'll be on the first agenda that we can be. The BZA meets twice a month, the first and the third Thursday. We'll get on the very first one that we can. And I'm not quite sure what that will be. It'll be one during the month of May, probably the first meeting in May.
Councilman Schulman, Councilor Hughes.
So I guess and I know these are always difficult, but is there, and I know that you want to proceed, is there an immediacy to it? I guess what I'm looking for is to make sure that you all feel like let people know it's okay. I mean, is it worth deferring one meeting just to make sure we've got all that covered? And I'm not trying to stir up anything. I'm just trying to make sure that when these things happen, that people know that it's coming and basically everybody's been checked with and we're good.
I'm okay with it. Olivia, the cemetery across the street, pretty much, is the Airways Motel. The reason I asked about the lease was that if a higher and best use came down the pike, which I think eventually it will, was somebody locked into a lease to use the land and they could not redevelop at some point. I guess that's not the case, which is good.
But you're saying the cemetery is sort of across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, do they know this is coming? Is this one of those things where...
It's pretty quiet over there.
I know. Well, I understand that. But I mean, the people that run the facility, do they know that it's coming?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I can't answer that affirmatively. I know my clients told me they've reached out to Jason Ellis, most of whom are just euphoric that the pick-apart is going away, which has 300 to 400 trips a day. So I can't imagine us having an issue with anybody, but the current aesthetics of the site are not real pleasing.
I guess I think that's the issue for me is that, it's hard to say anybody would jump up and down about a waste transfer facility moving in next door. However, when you look at what is there right now, I'd still say that this is not only probably an upgraded use where the folks taking over the space are actually very likely to be able to recycle a lot of what is on the site already. But then we also get to adjust that footprint to maybe be considerably better than what is there, right? So the portion of waste transfer from the plans I reviewed was all interior to a spot on the, kind of the campus of those 3 parcels. And so, this one's tough because there's not, it is a single reading resolution, and the hardest part I have found in reaching commercial property owners easily, because we've had the same issue in some ways on Music Row, is I don't know how to organize a community meeting over there, right? So I'm open to suggestions.
Put a BZA sign up next door to them, and they'll organize.
Yeah, right. But I think the issue is that the BZA is following us, right?
Right.
So if we proceed first and then they go, well, wait a minute, we didn't know until the BZA, then the question is, why didn't somebody tell us? I'm just trying to make sure that we don't need 2 weeks just to make sure that we kind of fan out, just make sure everybody kind of knows that if there's so that there's no surprises, everybody's clear. And understand that this is a difficult piece of property and this may be in the long run better.
So sort of to your point, right, I feel like having been through this yourself already, I think people showed up to the BZA, correct?
They certainly did. Go ahead.
Councilman Henderson.
So I guess my question was, it's a pick apart with old used cars now, but when we say waste transfer facility, what does that mean and what activity is going to be conducted there? What waste is going to be transferred?
Again, we've done a narrative that I've sent to Councilman O'Connell, I think to Councilman Syracuse. The entire pick-apart operation now goes totally away. And what's being proposed, we've actually submitted and looked at a building layout with both the council members that shows basically the number of vehicles coming in and out every day, which, as I said, either a third or a fourth of what it currently is. And we proposed, if Metro was interested, a convenience center drop-off on half the property. Required to have 10 acres. We've got acres. So there's basically 2 buildings on the site. One's a convenience center drop-off, and I've talked to Sharon about that. Don't know what interest may have in that, but we proposed that. The other building is all enclosed. It's mandated by the ordinances. It's all enclosed, and the waste is brought and reprocessed there and taken from the site. I can't give you the specifics about the exact materials. I know that it meets all the ordinances, but I don't think I can articulate for you exactly what's being brought in there. But it's all within the confines of what can be brought to a waste transfer facility site. Again, under the current ordinances, state and Metro, all has to be done inside. So you can have an attractive building and it's not open to anybody.
Is this are we approving a resolution for the property or for the property owner? Does that make sense?
Covers the property, I believe.
It covers the 10-acre site.
Well, I mean, if we pass this and then 10 years from now you sell it, it would transfer then to the second owner.
Transfer, but it's a special exception conditioned upon all the conditions that we agreed to, which was required. Unless we've talked to the councilman about landscaping, silting, and other things, because part of the property does face brown creek with no protection right now. And the councilman was very clear from our meeting with him that he wanted certain things done, and we told him we'd commit to put in the special exception requirements that we would meet with Stephen Kivett and do all the things that were required by the urban forester. We'd meet with Public Works to, make sure their input was in there. And those were all things that we agreed to that are not required by the ordinance, but we said to the councilman, we'll put this in our proposal and run it by you before that meeting at the BZA, which is to be, I guess, sometime in May.
All right. Councilman Syracuse, I think you were next.
I was going to say to Councilman Schulman's point, I know that Councilman O'Connell probably got it today as well. There's the little trade organization, I guess you call it, that goes basically from Fessler's to Briley along Liberty Pike. It's called Cityside. And they did send an email out today asking some questions about it. So, if there's an opportunity for them to attend the BZA, I'm sure they might. It's those business owners. So, again, there's no residential properties there. It's all the business owners. So they know about it.
Okay.
I attended the BZA hearing for the Wanamaya Drive, and And the BZA did a detailed, thorough, lengthy examination of each of the factors. And I think, and they paid attention to both the residential and the business owner speakers that came, because they had different concerns, and they listened to them both really carefully. I mean, my suggestion, you mentioned Councilman Elrod saying something from the floor, is I think to say something from the floor that, we're relying on the BZA to make detailed findings about each of the factors, and our focus was primarily on the location. It's the BZA. I think doing that gives plenty of direction to the BZA for any property owner that's nearby that wants to say, hey, like, this isn't a rubber stamp. They said yes, so you should say yes. It's like they looked at location. BZA's look hard at all the factors, and I think they'll do it.
I think to that point, it's pretty easy for me to then, because I had not seen that yet, so I'll have to go check that out. But I think it's also fairly easy for us to say from the floor, because Councilman Syracuse and I both represent parts of what are considered city side, to go back to them and say, look, we as individual council members are happy to answer questions or put them in touch with Tom and or the client, and then also to make sure that they're fully informed about the BZA process.
And then I guess I would just ask too, so this special exception will be conditioned upon, and then will you
Correct.
be engaging with the BZA to say that you support this special exception with the condition of
Right.
sidewalks, creek, all that kind of stuff, so that that's on the record as it relates to the BZA special exception?
That's no problem at all. That's what we want to do.
Okay.
I agree with Councilman Mendez. They're very thorough BZA, because it's a very, especially when they address issues involving residential, which that won't be a case there. So,
Councilman Shulman, you had your hand up.
I was just going back to you, and I mean, if we're okay, then we proceed ahead. But if you need some time to get some other questions answered, then I would move to defer just one meeting, and then wait, make sure you got it. But
so I guess the thing that I would say to that is, I feel like Tom and the client met individually with both me and Councilman Syracuse, and from a public hearing standpoint, sure, people could come to this room, but it'd be tough. Maybe, we could potentially acknowledge someone, but I think the BZA is actually that thing that serves as more of a specific public hearing for this. So I guess I have some comfort that if we pass this tonight and yet it meets stiff opposition from that community, that will be evident to the BZA.
Agreed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And we recommend approval. And real quick, the last Public Works meeting, I announced that we're going to try to have a informational meeting with the Department of Public Works. That was supposed to be last Thursday, but there was some folks that were out of town, so we're going to try to schedule for next Wednesday.
We're not going to try to schedule.
I'm sorry, yes. Excuse me. It is scheduled for next Wednesday.
April 11th at 5:30.
Unless any mayors resign between now and then. Yes. And an update. Do you have an update on Mark and how Mark is doing?
He's doing well. He's very bored.
I cannot imagine.
He's watching this committee meeting now. Hi, Mark. No, he's doing well. He's just, going through the whole eating healthy, trying to reform his cheeseburger eating ways and take it easy for the next couple of
All right, well, we
weeks.
wish him well. Hopefully he's not bored enough where he has to watch us. All right, thank you, everybody. We stand adjourned.
sure. So